Hey guys, top of the morning, and we're back for another episode of Earthens Den. And I am so excited to really be in a space where I'm finally getting clarity in regards to my life. I hope that everyone else is getting that same level of clarity, especially as it's year end. I'm definitely praying that we all can kind of move forward in a way that is more intentional and more authentic to ourselves. So first things first, I really want to talk about this because I talked about it on Instagram today, and I was just going ham with the post and the fingers, honey. I need to get a Twitter, but I haven't created it yet. So something that I really want to talk to you guys about is just the singleness of being a woman, being a Black woman especially, and some of the things that I'm seeing. I think that I'm definitely seeing a lot of women fall by the wayside in regards to relationships and desperation. First and foremost, I think this idea of like scarcity, right? And like us being taught that, oh, there's not a lot of good men, things like that. We have to be mindful of what we speak. And we have to be mindful of the conversations that we're having and who we're listening to, right? Personally, when I look at older women, I take into consideration a lot of things, right? And I'm so thankful for this. And I'm thankful to be here to be able to share this with you guys. See, I'm getting excited. To share this with you guys so that you guys can also have somewhat of a revelation in regards to how you're perceiving information that is being given to you. First things first, we have to eradicate this belief that with age comes wisdom. For a very long time, I struggled with imposter syndrome. Oh, that rhymed. Look at me. I'm so poetic. For a very long time, I really struggled with imposter syndrome. You know, I really struggled with thinking that or feeling as though I was good enough. I always had my dad telling me, oh, you don't know anything. You just X, Y, and Z. And my dad was that kind of dad. Like, unfortunately, he was just that kind of guy. And I realized that kind of mentality is so common in so many men. I've seen it in so many men. So they do this thing where men will have this way of kind of like being to where they think that they know everything. They think that they are in a space of where like they know what's best for you and for everyone else. And don't get me wrong, I think that there are definitely times where we have relationships and our partners are stronger in some areas, right? But I think to deny women the ability to just be themselves and actually learn how to do learn how to get good with their finances, or, you know, just to devalue them just for their humanistic experience. Like, we talk about history so much and we talk about how the world is changing, but is it really? Is it really though? Because I just kind of feel like we're still dealing with the same things that we were dealing with before the women's suffrage, before women had voting rights. Like, we're still in the same space dealing with these same paradigms, right? And I'm just sick of it. So first things first, I want to say that social media creates this illusion that there are only 500 people in the world. In addition to that, understand that everybody actually does not have a social media. You know, everybody's not on social media. So that's another thing to take into consideration. And then this thing here about women, single women, older Black women saying that there are no good men. What you have to take into account was that there were things going on during these times. I'm talking about revolutionary things. I'm talking about crack epidemics. I'm talking about alcoholism. I'm talking about incarceration, right? I'm talking about things that weren't filmed, right? Things that we don't even know about. Okay, things that really were going down in our community. So I think it's really time to kind of look at this and understand what we're really talking about here. If I grew up, I'm only in a neighborhood. I haven't lived anywhere else. I haven't moved out of this neighborhood, right? I don't know what it's like to be an entrepreneur. I didn't even know that I could run my own cleaners, right? I'm talking about like older women, our grandmothers, our aunties, like, you know, these were things that were never taught to them. I don't have an out, right? The sisters got men, the sisters who got men, they are the ones who, the men work hard, and maybe he's cheating on her. Maybe he's dogging her out, treating her like anything else because she doesn't have anywhere to go. She doesn't know that there's an out, because as women, we are taught that straight up, you don't have no value if you don't have a man. You can't work twice as hard as a man. You can't work hard as them. You're too emotional for business. There are so many things that, just me being in business, so many things that I'm realizing, and I think that it's generational. Like, I feel my ancestors' burdens. Like, I feel the things that they're guiding me through, and that the things that I'm overcoming and I'm ushering through as I'm breaking these generational curses. Okay. So it's heavy work over here, honey. It's heavy, but what I'm coming with is heavier. No, I'm kidding. So, seriously, right? So those are things that you really need to take in consideration, especially Black people. And this is what I try to tell us all the time. Learn about your history. How are we going to really do anything different in our communities if we don't know our history? Understand that our history is not white people's history. I'm just being honest, you know, and that's not You know what I mean? That's not a conversation that needs to be brought up in a sense of like, oh, you're racist, or no, knock it off, please. Honestly, I can never be racist. I can never hate anyone to any extent. There is no hate in my heart. Do I get angry? Yes. Okay. Do I get angry? Yeah. You're damn right. I get angry, but I'm not a hateful person. So just dead that, right? But we have to be mindful of our history, okay? And I think that so many of us are not, I don't even think that today's age, I don't even know what the kids are learning, but these are just conversations that are not being had. We also know that our history is not something that is really like available. Like we have to dig and find for it. Nobody knows where Black people came from, right? Like it's like, okay, yeah, we've got some African descent, but we're not necessarily African, and we're not, you know what I mean? So I think even in that space, like we have to, and yes, we stand with our brothers and sisters who are in Africa because we understand the slave trade and we understand what has happened and who, why they were brought here, and we understand, rape and things like that went on. But we also have to take into consideration those who were native, right? There's just so much that kind of encompasses the history of the people who pretty much was here and helped to, I'm not going to say help, I'm going to say they were robbed and deprived, but they pretty much built this country, right? So those are things we just got to kind of take into consideration. And I think when we think about our history, we have to be mindful. Like there were reasons why our women were single, right? There were reasons for these things. It wasn't just because, oh, she's an angry Black woman who's bitter. Now, granted, yeah, sometimes there are some experiences, right? And therapy wasn't something that's readily available. And even still today, therapy is not readily available. And that to me is disheartening, right? Because everybody's on this tip of like, oh, therapy, X, Y, and Z. But it's like, it's a different level of hunger you got to have to really be able to afford certain things in life, man. It's crazy. Like, it's not anything that's handed to us. It's not like we can't just go and have a connection with someone and we decide to work on a business. Like, we're constantly looking over our shoulder. Like, that level of community has been uprooted and it's been stolen away from us. We don't have that. So we got to be real about some things. And when we have conversations, we got to be mindful. Stop looking at women as your opponent. That's ridiculous. Like, I feel like it's time for men to grow up. And quite frankly, I think it's time for men to be accountable. Like, rise as a king. Learn to protect your women. Learn to cover your women. Because straight up, if women are constantly sacrificing themselves because they want to be in relationships or they feel like they can't, first of all, I think it's even just like a blessing. It's a blessing and a burden. But it's a blessing, right, to even have a voice and be able to have these conversations, because I just don't even think that these are conversations that are having. Every time I see a Black woman speak out about our experience, right, one in which only Black women face, there is no level of compassion. There is no level of there's just no space for us. There's no space that is held for us to have these conversations and talk about our experiences. Like, it's just like, oh, no, you're the problem. You need to be accountable. Y'all this way, y'all that way. And that to me is just so disheartening. It's like you're gaslighting a human being. You know what I mean? But as a whole, though, as a collective, like, it's like, can someone hold the space? And online, it seems to be something that is happening. But I can honestly say from my own personal experience in my own life, I haven't felt that same level of protection. I haven't felt that same level of covering, and we could sit here and blame women all day. Oh, y'all picked the wrong men. That's not true. That's not true. There are, hey, trust me, that's not true. It's not based on physicality, and I just think that it's just time for us to really look at the collective. Most of Black men are not being raised, haven't been raised, right? So don't really know how to function in a household, don't know how to function in a relationship, right? Typically, you're used to seeing your mother be the matriarch, your granny be the matriarch. So you're coming in thinking that she's supposed to do everything and stand on your shoulders. You stand on her shoulders while she, carries you around. And if that's not the mentality, then the other mentality is you're disrespectful because I had a mother who maybe didn't have the position or the knowledge, or, maybe she just didn't have a voice. And I know I don't think that people realize that women can totally be chameleons, and we can come into a room and we can adapt and we can mold and we can be immutable and we can really, really structure ourselves in a way to where we look happy on the outside. And this is why I talk about the strength of a woman, because just being a woman in myself, that level of strength is amazing. And we always look at it like, oh, if she's strong, X, Y, and Z. No, Black people are strong. Kings and queens are strong. You should represent strength. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are we really talking about right here? But I think, if I'm being honest too, so let me finish up this point really quick. So you were either raised in a household with a mother who didn't say much, who didn't say much. And so now when you meet a sister who has an opinion, who has her own life, who has something to say, you're intimidated by that because you don't know how to You don't know how to live with her. You don't know how to be in a space where you can respect her and you can understand like, oh, wow, this is my teammate. Like, I'm actually thankful that I have this woman alongside of me. I have someone to watch my back, Black man who talks about he's never able to be emotional and how he's not protected. So I think it's just important to really sit in that space. And I think it's important for Black men to wake up. Like, come on, look at what is happening to your women. And if you can't sit in that space, then look at your grandmother, look at your aunt, look at your cousins. Think about the people that you care about. At least if you can hold the space for them. You know what I mean? Because these are conversations that Black women, we don't want to have. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear our pain. Nobody wants to hear what we have to talk about. Everything is our fault. It's our fault. Oh, you dressed like this. Oh, you did this. Well, you shouldn't have been doing that. Oh, well, you should have chose a different guy. Like there is no space for us. So nobody wants to have these conversations, but we're going to have them today. Okay. So my other point that I was making was that I think it's important to, I forgot my train of thought. I hate when I do that. But listen, it's important to hold that space for us, and it's important to recognize that our experiences are valid, and it's one that can only come from a Black woman, so we have to be mindful of that. And I should have wrote it down. I just had somebody came and called me, so that was like the time gap there. But yeah, so I think that a lot of men don't know how to be in a relationship with one another. And what I typically see is women who are putting forth way more work. And what happens is she ends up outgrowing him. Right? Because she's going to therapy. She's doing the counseling work. She's reading books. She's doing all of these things. She's taking classes. She's getting counselors. She's seeking, wisdom from other people, who she confides in. But he's not doing that. So what happens is, as a woman, just naturally we give a lot. But nobody's going to be with, I don't encourage women to be in spaces where it's like you're putting in all this work. Like, yeah, it's like, I know for myself, I do. I believe in relationships. I believe in the power of union and just community and the whole nine. But what I don't believe is extending myself to such a degree and someone's not doing the same. You know what I mean? We always talk about reciprocity. It's not always done in an external sense. Sometimes it is taking this class. Sometimes it is going to couples counseling and doing these things like this for your partner or trying a new dish together or whatever. But that to me, that's inner work. And that's the things that I talk about when we talk about hard work in relationships. I don't think that men work as hard for their relationships. They don't. So let's just be honest. And so I think if you're someone and, you know yourself and you're like, what, I'm not putting up with that. I'm not settling for that. Then that also contributes to that. You know what I mean? But I just think that for women, this level of desperation, I want to talk about this because it's important as women that we really, really understand who we are. Women are the creators of life. Without women, there would be none of us. I so jokingly made this post. And honestly, you guys, for me, these are our issues and this is our space. And I like to make light out of some things. I know I can be deep. Girl, I can be deep, honey. I can be deep. I can be real emotional. We can really sit and feel them feelings. But I also like to make light of this because we got hope. You know what I mean? We got hope. Like, we really do. So anyway, I made this post that I said that women are the creators of life. And this is something that we know. And I said, we know this, right? Because, at the end of the day, when it comes to being in a relationship with someone, you got to know your worth. And you have to realize that true love, like what's for you, you're not going to have to choose your self-respect or being in this relationship. You're not going to have to choose your self-love or being in this relationship. You're not going to have to choose your dignity or being in this relationship. You're just not going to have to choose. It's going to be equal. Like, hey, yeah, we should do that. Right. We probably should work on our communication. It's not going to be you're the one who's buying the books, reading you're going to the classes, doing those things, and this person is just kind of sitting there. Like, absolutely not. I think as a collective, Black people in general, we need help. Okay, we need help. And if we're going to seek it and make it work, we're going to have to make it work and we're going to have to put in the work. Okay, so that's just first things first. But I said that, we know that love liberates. Like Maya Angelou talked about that. She said love liberates. And I feel that, So I talked about envisioning a love that feels like freedom. You can be yourself. Wigs, bonnets, makeup, no makeup, braids, playing 2 knots. Okay. Nails done, hair did, nothing did. All right. I'm talking about being yourself. I'm talking about a little bit of the rah, hello. And then I'm talking about, coming up here, showing up to the board meeting. Hello, lunch packed. Hey, boo, what's good? What's good, husband? You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the whole entirety of the Black woman. Like, can we talk about that? Okay, we're gonna talk about that another day. But yeah, I'm talking about being yourself. And I said that we know that love liberates, because that's why when he got back on his feet, he left you. Right. And I made it jokingly. Right. Because personally, I think that every woman has been in that space. Like, we've all made fair share of mistakes. We've all been in a space where we just felt like we played ourselves or X, Y, and Z. And honestly, I think if you are in this space as a woman, sometimes it's really hard to accept the mistakes that you've made. Sometimes it's hard to accept the fact that, yeah, maybe I did go out way too far on a limb for someone who did not even deserve that and who wasn't worthy of that. But let me tell you something, honey. You got to go through to get through. Okay, girl, once you earn your stripes, honey, that's how you get the king, honey. You get the king by making the mistakes. And I'm not saying do this intentionally. Like, please hear me clearly, guys. Okay, let me not even joke on this. So in order to really get self-love, like, you have to go through things in life. You know, some of us wake up with it. I personally don't think so, because I don't think that the world at large is designed for women to love themselves. I think that most people honestly benefit from women not loving themselves. So these are conversations that aren't typically had. And it's not until you go through things and you learn, like, actually, no, I don't want to be treated like this. No, actually, I don't want to be spoken to this way. Then you come into a space and you're like, oh, okay, I'm hanging out with myself. Like, you know, I'm doing what I love. I'm smashing my goals. I'm doing me. I love myself, right? But it's not something that you just get out of the gate, right? Like, that's not typically how that works. And like I said, if it happened for you early on, that's fine. It's fine. I'm just saying that typically it's a journey. So if you are in that space, chill out. You're not dumb. I personally don't think that women are dumb. I think that women are very smart. And I think that women are oftentimes underestimated, even by our partners, you know. And I think that this is a great advantage, if you ask me. I don't even think it's anything to fuss or fight about. Like, honestly, being underestimated is great. Nobody expects anything from you. And, you know, run with it, honestly. But definitely don't sit in a space where you're disrespected. So I have to hit on these things, you guys, these nuances, because I don't want anything to be misconstrued. I want to communicate this stuff effectively, because this is heavy. You know, what we're talking about in today's episode is really heavy. So, yeah, moving forward, just know that, like, you won't have to compromise yourself. And you know that love liberates, because at the end of the day, when women come into a man's life, like, you light up this person's whole freaking world. Like, you light up their whole world. And I'm just personally, I'm kind of sick and tired of some women being in situations where we are only being used for that, you know. But if you don't know your value, if you don't know your worth, then you're going to feel like you have to constantly rescue people. And don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with being there for people during tough times. Like, personally, I love being there for people. Like, I'm a lover, I'm caring, I'm kind, I'm all of that. But I'm also a woman who has boundaries and self-respect. And I also understand that when it comes to certain people just aren't deserving to know you like that. Certain people just aren't deserving of your love and your kindness and your caring and your nurturing like that, you know. And I know for sure that if you don't have that for yourself, if you don't have that, like, I'm talking like full of yourself. Like, you need to be full of yourself to where it's like, hey, you could pick up a phone, have this hour conversation with whoever, build this person up, and go on about your day, and nothing's depleted. I ain't talking about if you get off and it's like, oh, you don't have it. And that's okay. Sometimes it's okay to admit that right now, Black woman, I'm not strong. Right now, I don't have it. Right now, I ain't rocking like that. You know, and that's okay. You know, that's okay. And honestly, saying no a lot of times is definitely going to be uncomfortable, but it is what it is. I said right now, honey, right here, right now, today, I don't have it to pay. Okay, so I'm not going to be out here putting myself on the front line and extending myself to such a degree when, yes, I have been used, right? And I'm tired of that. And right now, I just got enough of me. Right now, y'all done maxed out the CCs. Everybody owes me, like, it's debt. Like, I'm out here like the Grim Reaper. I need that. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, I'm kidding. Like, nurture yourself is what I'm saying. Like, nurture yourself and just understand that, like, at the end of the day, you can't be out here being everything to everybody and not for yourself. We hear this so often, but it's time that we start applying it. Okay, so that's the biggest thing. And lastly, I want to talk about standards, because society teaches us to lower our standards. Let's just be real. Like, let's just be real. We're going to be real. Okay, we're going to be real up in here today, honey, because we're going to get this truth out. Okay. It ain't a matter of a preference. And even still, it still blows my mind, because men have preferences all the time. They have preferences all the time. But women, you can't have a preference. You need to date a guy because he's nice. That's why you need to be with him. Right. And that's dead wrong. Y'all know that's dead wrong. Y'all know that ain't right. But I've never been a shallow person. Honestly, I've never been shallow. I didn't even think that I was beautiful for a very long time. Like, growing up, My life story, honey. My life, my life, my life, my life. Want no sunshine. I'm gonna stop playing on this podcast, but I didn't think I was beautiful for a very long time. So I really struggled with my self-esteem. And so coming out of that space and like stepping into where I am today, that humbled me. I had a very humble beginning. That's why I cringe when people say, oh, you need to be humble. Girl, if you only knew. If your girl only knew, boo. Like, girl, it has been a process. And that's why I try to encourage Black women so heavily. When you see a sister in position, bow down. No, I'm kidding. Don't bow down, but respect that, because that's going to be you first and foremost. And just know that, like, honey, it was a climb. It's the climb. Girl, trust me, it's been a hike. It's been a plow. I said a plow. I meant to say a plow, honey. It has been a journey. It has been a journey. Trust me, I paid that price. Even though the price was already paid, girl, I still had to pay a price. So just know that, like, when you're sitting in position, you looking good, you're sitting tight, and everything is looking right, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. So don't ever think that it wasn't you. I know a lot of sisters, sometimes you just have people in life. We're not going to put it all on Black women, but there are just people in life who get in position and they be feeling themselves and they like, whatever. You know what I mean? You have some people who like, that can never be me. Whole time it was them. You just don't know the tea on their life because they're just so insecure. Like, they're not even really showing up as them. Like, they're hiding behind the materialism and the X, Y, and Z. Like, girl, bye. Stop it. I see right through that. So I'm not saying you got to tell everybody your business. Definitely don't tell everybody your business. Like, keep it to yourself to some extent. But I'm talking about me and my life and what I'm doing. And, my work is a little purposeful, so it's different. But I'm just saying, like, straight up, respect that, because it wasn't easy. So we got to stop that. And I'm just so here for building community. I don't even want this podcast to end. Like, I want to go for hours, but I got to wrap up. So I want to talk to you guys about this new wave of, like, desperation. I believe that, like, certain people are online and they're really, really projecting their mindsets. And this is why I say be so mindful of what you listen to. I remember I was listening to a relationship coach and I was really digging on it. I'm like, this is dope. Like, I'm applying these principles. I feel like I'm getting these results, X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm doing the thing, girl. Girl, do you know, after a while, I had to really step back and assess. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Why am I feeling like I'm limited? Why am I feeling like, and so what you have to realize is that when you listen to people, you want to make sure it's invigorating, girl. You want to make sure you revved up. Like, girl, you putting on your sneakers right now, getting ready to go for that run, listening to this podcast. You already know. And I ain't even had no coffee. Talk about it, Holy Spirit. Hello, girl, you want to be empowered, okay? So when you listen to these podcasts, these perspectives, I know we want to get into the heads of men sometimes. We want to understand them. But, honey, you got to understand a lot of these men ain't healthy, girl. They just ain't healthy. They ain't on here with no healthy perspective. You don't want to hear about it. Honestly, you don't want to sit yourself in those corners to just be picked apart. Like, why would you even, that doesn't seem like a nice thing to say to a person, and I think that a lot of times with these platforms, I think that they honestly have okay, let me not see this just may be the nice girl coming out of me, right? I would like to believe that they have the right intentions. I would like to believe that, their intention is actually to bridge the gap between the division in the Black community. But I just think that this is kind of what happens when you rush God and you don't take time to really cultivate the process, right? Like, because you get out here on the front line and instead of you empowering people, you're tearing them apart. And I think that because we're so addicted to negativity, and if there is some things in ourselves where we feel inept or invalidated or insecure, we'll seek out those things that validate us. So we'll go and listen to a podcast who says, if you're this size or this or whatever, you're not enough, right? Because you feel that anyway. So you have to be mindful of what you're listening to because you take in that. So find things that are find if you're listening to things about dating and relationship, like find podcasts, find YouTubers, find whatever that is coming from a space of abundance. Find someone who has an abundant mindset. Find someone who thinks positively and who has a really keen sense of self because a lot of people, they do be out here projected to, and honestly, you don't want to be in spaces where you're just being debilitated. Because I think as a Black woman, girl, I stand with you. You get it. We get it. We all get it. But at the end of the day, we get so much of that. Like, that's the last thing you need. Like that. Look, girl, I just got off work. I already had to deal with X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So the last thing I'm trying to do is come in here and get told that I'm not enough. Right? Like, no. And understand that, like, when it comes to your standards, you absolutely deserve what it is that you want. Honey, let me tell you a little story. I'm going to tell you a little story real brief. I remember I had this was my last go round. This is my last go round. This was it. This was it. Okay, this was it. And I mean finito. I got out of a situationship, honey. I said, oh, this how y'all doing them? This how y'all, for real? This what you on? I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. This is ghetto. So I didn't want to be married. And, for a very long time, I stood on that. Like, I was with it. And I was really content. Like, I was like, I'm just going to do my thing. I'm good. Like, I when I tell you, your girl was impressed. But then God kind of gave me a desire to be married. And I knew it was God because I didn't want to be married. I knew it was God. Like, when I tell you, I literally knew that it was God, the man above. Like, because I literally didn't want to be married. Like, it wasn't happening. And I didn't really think too far about, like, kids the whole night. I just was like, whatever. Like, I got dreams and goals I'm about to pursue, and I'm about to get busy. And that's just what it was, So I just want to say that if you want something, you can't settle, though. Like, you can't settle. Like, you got to know that God will do it for you. Like, if you really feel like that's your desire, and you have to understand that there's value for you outside of a relationship. Women come into the workplace, you can light the whole day up. You ever go to work? You have a good job. Now, me personally, honey, unfortunately, my employment history just isn't the most inspirational story. But I remember there was a lady at my job. Her name was Joy. She was fabulous. And she was such an inspiration on me. And she would just come in to work. And she was such a light, and she was a black woman, and she was fabulous. And I still see her today. And, I got to let her know how much of an inspiration she is to me. But her light in itself, that aura, come on now. Not every black woman is angry, black, bitter, blah, blah, blah. I mean, yeah, we black, but we ain't bitter. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is that women just have the ability to light up a whole room. And when you tap into that in you, like, girl, it hits different. Come on now. You know how your kids be when you come home. Girl, mommy, like, they be so happy to see you, sis. Like, no, you got way more worth outside of what you can do for a man. No, you got way more worth outside of what you can do for people. No, you got way more worth outside of, your hips and your thighs. Like, your girl, please, that is beneath you. Like, that's like number 100. Okay. Honestly, I'm going to give y'all a little secret. I'm going to give y'all a little secret, just a little something about me that I think you can take it with you. Honey, you can't put a price on it. You can't put a price on it, honey. I feel like when it comes to my worth, it's just, you just can't put a price on it, So understand that right there, that's like at the bottom of the bottom. Like, girl, that is so, like, girl, you are so much more than that. Like, girl, you know how to do math? Like, girl, you can help these kids with this math. Stop it. Like, girl, come on. Like, you're way more than that. And I know I said you can't, I said you're more than what you can do for people. And I just said you can help them with the math. I mean, like, just the things that women can do. Like, you guys, come on. Like, seriously, you just have to really know that you're so much more than that. Don't settle and don't be desperate. Child, I got a man number. This brother walked up to me. He was very handsome. And he was an older brother. So honestly, I already had expectations that he would be coming with a little bit more common sense. Child, this man asked me what was my Instagram. Oh my goodness, girl. And this is not a man bashing. And I know that some people are like, oh, let's just see your Instagram. I'm just saying, I just think in today's world, honey, you win some, you lose some. There's no need to be cynical about anything, and understand that you're your own person. Like, girl, you don't want to be for everybody. Out of the billions of people in the world, you really want to be compatible with every single person. Like, that's OD, girl. At that point, girl, how can you even make a decision? Girl, you can't go to the buffet and eat everything. Girl, you got to leave something for the other fishes. Girl, you got to leave something for everybody else. Leave something for the employees. Hello. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. And I hope y'all enjoyed this, man. I feel so good knowing that I know what I'm doing with this podcast. Can we just start off by saying, like, Jaylin Leslie was all over the place with Earthens Den, honey. We were up, left, down, right, center, front, smack dead in the middle. I'm trying to reach every single person of every girl. Knock it off. You don't have that type of time. But I hope you guys enjoyed your time here. And I hope everybody has an amazing day. And girl, go out there and be excellent. You don't be great. You be excellent. And you excel. Because you are more than everything that people have put on you. Like, bump them expectations. You can only be real. I can only be me. Yeah. I'm gonna stop with the ad-libs, but please go bump that Mary. Like, take me as I am, because she said what she said, and I'm telling you what I said and what we all know. Period. This is a sisterhood. This is a community. Like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? We're gonna show up and show out, and we're gonna get it done, because we always do it, and we do it well, and we get it done every single time. Period. Love you guys. Have an amazing day. Thanks so much for streaming.